Hey guys, if you like the content, please be sure to like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Quick reminder to check out this week's Mortar Pod, our video podcast, and also check out this week's SeemsGoodMagic card giveaway. Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're doing another Vintage Masters Swiss draft. Let's take a look. Rare is Academy Elite, who's kind of cool, but I'm not going to pick him. We've also got Grizzly Fate, which is kind of cool because it's got flashback, so it's some decent value. So far my favorite colors have been blue and red. I've found those to be the most successful for me, so I've really got my eye on the counterspell, because 2 mana hard counter is pretty good. And of all the mono colors, I don't know, mono blue is just really, the way they set it up in this draft, I feel like they really gave it a good strategy. They gave mono red goblins, I guess, a pretty good strategy too. But I'm going to take the counterspell to start it off. It doesn't have the built-in 2-for-1 value of some of these other guys like Goblin Commando or Predatory Night Stalker, but it's just such a good price for what you get. And I like it. Follow-up pick. Let's see here. I don't remember this guy being in there before. Killer Whale's a great finisher. Krovikan Sorcerer is decent, but nothing special. Deep Analysis is pretty good. Drawing cards is usually pretty good. Hermit Druid is cool. If you have some sort of weird self-mill reanimator strategy, I could see that being something. Chroma's Blessing is quite good, I would say. Kind of just looking at Killer Whale or Deep Analysis. I'm more likely to want Killer Whale. This card has played pretty well for me in the past. It is a 5-drop and Deep Analysis is a 4-drop, but I think I'm going to go with the Killer Whale. Got my heart set on that. Yeah, not much else to say about it. Okay, so now we've got Mana War, Rescind, Scrivener, Animate Dead, Breath of Life, pure reanimator strategy going on here. Kindle, good red burn. I think we're just going to take the Mana War, stay on point with blue, try and cut as much as we can. I do like Rescind as well, but well, I guess that's actually a good point. I think it's because the Mana War is actually a threat as well. Not that 2/2 is that much of a threat, but I still like it more than the Rescind. Even though Rescind hits all permanents instead of just creatures, I think I'd still rather, even despite all of that, still rather have the Mana War. The Rescind has better interactions with the Scrivener, but I'm still going to take Mana War. It's just a fantastic tempo card. Okay, so now we have Circular Logic, which is good, I guess, if you have some sort of discard strategy or you're playing a lot of spells that end up in your graveyard. Otherwise, I mean, this card's cool, but not super feeling it. Exile's pretty good. That's pretty hard removal. Doesn't hit doesn't hit white creatures, but that's still pretty good. The red cards aren't super impressing me. Guess I'll take Exile. I mean, Elvish Aberration's a big threat, I guess. There's nothing too crazy in here. Circular Logic is cool. I'm just not really feeling it. But maybe I should now, because some pretty good stuff in this pack. Genesis is a fantastic rare. It's just a great card. Efficiently costed threat, and then when it's dead, you just get to reap value all day from other creature cards in your graveyard. So, I don't know. I'm thinking I'm okay with Genesis. That's a pretty good way to win. I don't know if I forget if I've done blue-green already. Yavimaya Elder is a fantastic card. Basking Root Wall is very good. Benalis Trapper would be maybe even another removal spell, so I guess I could get behind that. removal in quotations. I do like Genesis a lot. I guess it works better with a discard strategy. I'm going to take the Benalla Strapper. I'm just going to try and go for a blue, maybe a blue-white removal-y build. Shelter is very good. Mystic Zealot is good too. 2/4s for 4, not super impressive, but 3/5 flying for 4 in the mid to late game is very good. Power Sink is a removal or a counter spell, an interesting one at that, since it can tap stuff. Makes him pay or taps him out, which is cool. Gustclaw Carrier is a flyer though, which is good. Mystic Zealot might just be better because it's a little more defensive, it's not as color intensive, and it's got a good upside, and it's uncommon. I guess I'm going with the Zealot. I think he's pretty playable, even if you're not a discard strategy of some sort. Noble Templar is a fantastic card. Plain cycling is great, but thinking we just want the Rescind. It's more removal as well as cycling. A couple other good cycling cards in here as well. It'd be nice to make an Astral Slide deck just because of how obnoxious it is. I'm just having flashbacks of playing against Astral Slide decks back in the Onslaught times, and oh my god. What a miserable, miserable experience that was. Reviving Vapors is on color with what we're trying to do. That's actually kind of good too, but I'm still going to take the Rescind. Rather just have Bounce or Cycle. I think that's better. Good white cards in there regardless. Alright, what is this? Oh, Mana Fixing. And Skyshroud Forest is cool, I guess, but we don't need the green. Guess we're just taking the Tethers. I love this card. If you've watched my drafts before, you know that I love that card. So I could see these types of cards being great with Mystic Zealot. We're already getting a lot of stuff that's going to fill up our graveyard. Pretty much everything we have is either, well, I guess besides Mystic Zealot and Killer Whale, everything is like a removal or a creature or both. So I like that. Keep that trend going. Alright, so we have Academy Elite Wheeling, which at this point I guess I'm comfortable taking. It's either that or Renewed Faith, just because you can cycle and gain some life, which actually isn't that bad, but at this point I think I could actually play Academy Elite. It is in all graveyards, so you get your opponents as well. I'll put it this way, I don't think it's that great of a card, but we may actually be able to play it, and it's rare, so I'll try it out. Alright, Tarot's Faithful, not great, but it does gain us life. I think Devout Witness might actually be, yeah, I could play at least sideboard Devout Witness. Tarot's Faithful is some pretty excellent protection against the Goblin deck, but I think I'd still rather have the Devout Witness. I feel like there's more decks that would sideboard well against. Okay, Tabled Rescind, which is very surprising. I'm going to take it because it's a great card. Gilded Light Cycles, which is good, and Seal of Cleansing is good sideboard card like Devout Witness. Perhaps even better, since you don't have to wait. But I'm still going to take the second Rescind. Benevolent Bodyguard is just straight up good. Just a great card. Taking it. Some red cards wheeling. I'm going to take the Salt Flats. There's a chance I can go into black territory because of it. Reign of the Pit. I guess then Reviving Vapor's last card. That's pretty cool since we're actually on color with it. But 4 mana to essentially get one card is not that great. However, it is instant, so it works particularly well alongside blue, which has counter spells. Kong Ming, Sleeping Dragon. 4 mana, 2/2. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. It's kind of cool. Can't say I'm super impressed by it. Could take Exile number 2, which I think I'm okay with. More removal the better. It is a little bit more narrow than normal removal, but maybe I want the Choking Tethers more. But maybe we wheel the Choking Tethers. Scrivener's in here as well, which is always good. It's good value. Hmm. Exile versus Choking Tethers, I think, is the pick here. And I have one of each. If I pick the Choking Tethers, I'm going to be happier if I end up with Astral Slide, so I think I'm going to take the Choking Tethers. Exile seems like it's a better removal spell, but Cycle, man. What can I say? I am a sucker for Cycle. Deathblade Elite with Provoke is not bad, but I still think I would rather have the Flyer, Alfamiliar. Alfamiliar is also very cool alongside the Mystic Zealot, or any other Threshold for that matter. Um, so yeah, I think we're going to take the Alfamiliar. Shelter is good. Ether Mutation is very good. Obsessive Search is cool if I had some sort of discard outlet. Yeah, let's just take the Familiar. This guy has Provoke, which is good, but I'd still rather have the Flyer that loots for me. And I mean, I wouldn't mind having a Shelter at the very least. Thawing Glaciers. Interesting. I take it Thawing Glaciers isn't worth anything. One dude buying it, yeah, I would say not worth much. Alright. Miss Moon Griffin. Now, I've played against this card, and I kind of like it. Unfortunately, we already have a lot. I guess we don't have a lot of 4-drops, because the Choking Tethers are kind of 2-drops. But I did play against Miss Moon Griffin. I was pretty impressed. I still think I'd rather play Exile. Actually, I think I want the Ophidian. We've got just ample amounts of removal, and Ophidian is fantastic with that. I should note, Exile and Ophidian are not good together. You don't want to punish your opponents for attacking when you have the creature that you want to get in with. So that's a good reason to pick Choking Tethers over Exile when you're blue-white. Something to keep in mind, something I should have kept in mind. I think Tradewind Rider is a fantastic way to beat people. And it's a rare too, which is cool. High Tide and Power Sink in here. Frantic Search, Owl Familiar. A lot of good cards. Battle Screech, great card. Gives you flyers for days. I think I'm just going to go with the Tradewind Rider. You can really put people in a tough spot with that card, which I like. So I'm going to do that. Okay, Scrivener, Mana War. I think we just take another Mana War. I usually go pretty deep on Mana Wars. Could use a couple more finishers in here, admittedly, but I'm hoping that those will come later. At this point, Scrivener is a great card in here, but I'm still going to take the Mana War. Still rather have that guy that sets him back. Alright, Ophidian number 2, I'm going to take it over the second Killer Whale. This is definitely a deck that wants Ophidian for days. So I love that strategy in this format. I think I've had a lot of success with it, so I do like it. Floodplain does fix for us, and there's not too, well, actually, I would say Radiant's Judgment is a good card. Yeah, so we're going to take that over the fixing. I mean, fixing is good and all, but when you're 2-color and we're mostly blue, I don't think it should be as big a deal. And this could actually be pretty valuable for us if we go up against a fatty that we're having a hard time dealing with. And the great thing about this is the cycle just really makes it a lot better. Upheaval, geez, that's a strong card. So Upheaval, you get rewarded a lot more when you have like a bajillion mana, but Upheaval is just great. When you have like 8 or 9 mana, you just tap out, play it, and then you still get to follow up with a spell, whereas your opponent gets to do nothing. So yeah, Upheaval for days. Scrivener, yes. Good table, good card. Definitely taking it and playing it. Shelter, at this point I could probably easily play it over the Benevolent Bodyguard. It seems to have better interaction with Scrivener, Mystic Zealot, stuff along those lines. Although, now that I say that, Mystic Zealot still works fine with Benevolent Bodyguard. However, Academy Elite would reward us more for playing Shelter. But the truth be told, we're probably going to end up playing both anyway, so it doesn't even matter. I should look at the weakest cards we currently have in the deck. Like, I want to sideboard the Devout Witness anyway. Do I even need a Thawing Glaciers? It's cool and all, but for deck thinning, I'm just going to take the Exile. I already said earlier it's not very good interaction with Ophidian, but I really don't care. It's still still a straight up removal spell that gains you life. So this is 23 cards. I'm already happy with it. We have a low creature count, but not too low where I'm, super concerned about it. Probably don't need Assault Flats. What would my first cuts be? I'm not exactly sure. I guess I'd prefer, probably Reviving Vapors can go. Wait, does it send cards to the... Alright, it does send cards to the graveyard, which is kind of something our deck wants to do, but then again, so does Owl Familiar, and it's also a creature. I guess Frantic Search does too. Well, there's quite a few cards that send cards to our graveyard. I'm going to take the Familiar, because it's a creature that does it, and it flies. A flying creature that does it. I think that's why. Alright, Scrivener over the Seal of Cleansing. This is definitely a Scrivener deck. Grasslands currently cannot search up any real lands of substance, but I'll take it anyway because it's foil. And Pine Barrens. Alright, so getting some good mana fixing. This is 25 cards, so obviously I'm not going to play all of these. If I want to stay on this Academy Elite threshold, Keldon Necropolis. I have a feeling that card's not worth a ton. There's our Astral Slide. That's wonderful, wonderful news. It's exactly what this deck wanted. I mean, if you just count the sheer amount of cycle we have, I think it's pretty good. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, admittedly I thought we had more than that, but still have a chance to pick up some more in this last pack here. I doubt Keldon Necropolis is worth anything. Admittedly, I don't know, but it doesn't even seem like that great of a card, so I don't know why it would be worth anything. Yeah, not worth anything, so we're just going to take the Astral Slide. Okay, well, wait a second. Isn't Vampiric Tutor's got to be worth something? I know it's worth a ton in real life. Oh. Being bought at 2. Guess that's not that much. So I may just want to take Ophidian number 3 instead. Radiance Judgment number 2 because it cycles, but I think we'll just go Ophidian number 3. I just love the Ophidian strategy. Kind of thought Vampiric Tutor was worth a little bit more, but guess not. Yeah, let's go deep on Ophidian. Imperial Armor. Real tough to argue against that card. Just good cards in here in general. Secluded Step, excellent for the Astral Slide. Noble Templar, excellent for the Astral Slide. Imperial Armor is just crippling. Turn 2 Owl Familiar, turn 3 Imperial Armor. Swing, 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 dead. That's happened to me before. This card is so outrageously strong on turn 3. It's actually not even fair against some decks. It really isn't. I'm going to take it over the cycling and hope to table one of these cards that cycle. Okay, so Frantic Search, Gustcloak Harrier, Radiance Judgment. Probably got enough creatures. I'm trying to think where my priorities lay. Still think I would prefer to do the Shelter over the Bodyguard, as much as I wouldn't mind doing both. Maybe this isn't an Upheaval deck, but the thing, like I said earlier about Upheaval is when you have enough mana, it's just good. But this deck, because we literally have 0 ramp, I mean, if you have any sort of colorless ramp, this card is just not even, it's not fair. It really is a stupid card. The mistake that they printed it, everything negative about Upheaval is just a mistake in printing, I think. I'm going to take the Skywing Aven. Might seem like a weird choice because Gustcloak Harrier is probably a better creature, but the discard outlet I kind of like on it. Stoic Champion is great when you have a lot of cycle. There's also another counter spell in here, which is good. I think I want the Stoic Champion more because I've got, what, like 6? And probably going to get at least one more cycle effect. Wouldn't mind having that. Counterspell number 2 is certainly not bad either with the sheer amount of instants we have. When you're ahead with Ophidian and you're just doing counterspells. I'm not sure what this deck needs more, to tell you the truth. Another reward for cycle effects, or because it's whenever a player, I guess. That is pretty good. All right, we're going with champion over the second counterspell. I don't know if it's right. We'll take the killer whale, number 2. Likely gonna try and find a way to play it. Secluded step, 100% windmill slam in that one. Rescind, there's more. Absolutely taking that. At this point we can just play all of the cyclers in the world. Don't need this, really. Don't need any of this, really. Yeah, I really don't need any of this. Probably not even playing the other ones I have. Maybe I just want it. Maybe I just want the Aqua Amoeba for sideboard if I need more cheap creatures for some reason. Faithful could be a good sideboard card. Judgment's another cycler though, so I guess we take it because we just really want to play as many cyclers as possible. We have both the champion and the Astral Slide, which in my opinion is enough reward. Fires of Yavimaya can be a very good card. Dothy Mercenary as well, but I'm more concerned with cards like this rather than creatures, I think. Spark Spray, I guess, is decent against us. Not great, though. Don't really need the Sorcerer. Don't really care about Aftershock. I guess we'll take the Sorcerer. So, I have just a ridiculous amount of removal. Like, just an absolutely absurd amount of removal in this deck. It's actually like lunacy. I probably have never had a deck that's had this much removal before. It's just like bounce, 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 bounce. It's just non-stop bouncing, killing attackers. Third to last pick Fyndhorn Elves. That's just shocking. I'm going to take that because that's just so good. Such a great card in any format, really. In any limited format, at least. Addle, I guess, could be annoying. I don't know. Okay, so tons of cards to play. I guess we're not going to go the upheaval route because it's not really necessary. I don't think we're even doing Vapors, even though it kind of plays well with some of our other stuff. I got to take a look at exactly what we're doing here. I've got to really come up with a game plan that's going to nicely reward us for doing all the scry. So a couple killer whales, don't need that. Don't need the bodyguard, don't need the shelter, I don't think. Let's just focus on scrying, don't need that. Maybe, well, I still probably want the exiles, but this is 29 cards. Wow. Alright, so just have to remember that I am going to play Secluded Step because cycling 17 creatures in here, which is admittedly quite a bit. So here's all the non-creatures. All the non-creature spells being separated. So just based on this, I've got how many things that reward us for Academy Elite? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, that's a lot. And not to mention our opponent's graveyards as well. Could be something. Maybe we don't need the Skywing Aven. It's not great. Still like the Tradewind Rider because I like bouncing. Maybe I don't need the double Owl Familiar, but I like the Flyer. I'm not even sure what to cut. Maybe I don't need the Exiles main deck. Let's just focus on Cycle. And then I sideboard into Exile if I'm playing against, Goblins or something like that. I mean, it just turns out I actually have more removal than I even need. Astral Slide is so good. So I need to cut 5 cards. I want to play 17 lands just because we've got so much cycling. in card draw that not really worried about it. Yeah, I'm going to cut the Exiles because, like I said earlier, they just don't really particularly play well alongside Ophidian. They're just not in the same sort of strategy, really. Whereas Radiant's Judgment still works well with Ophidian, regardless of whether you've got Astral Slide out or not. Same with Choking Tethers. And Rescind, same sort of thing. Either I'm cycling it and exiling something, or I'm bouncing something, both of which I'm pretty happy with. And I can return them all with Scrivener anyway. Still need to make 3 cuts. Hmm. So Stoic Champion. How many did let me count total scry. I think we've got 7. All right, 7 total scry cards. 2 cards that reward us for scry, so not going to be cutting any of those spells. So really the ones on the plate that I'm going to cut, I think we're not cutting any of these, so I guess I am cutting 3 creatures going to 13, which typically I guess I would be concerned about, but because we're a deck that's got a pretty good card advantage engine capability, I mean, actually, theoretically, I can just go infinitely cycle. I could infinitely cycle anything, targeting my Scrivener with the Astral Slide, bringing it back, getting back the card that I cycled. So, I mean, admittedly, it's not amazing, but it is a card engine it's a card advantage engine of some sort. It's an interesting one. Let's cut 1 familiar just because if I'm going to be cutting creatures, I'd rather leave good ways to win in the deck. And our kill cons are pretty much Stoic Champion, Mystic Zealot, Double Killer Whale, Academy Elite to a certain extent, but I'm not really feeling the Academy Elite in here. It's not that it's bad, it's just it's not exactly the territory I want to be in, I think. Let's cut another familiar. Let's cut the Academy Elite. It is cool, but I'd still rather do the Double Killer Whale and the Double Scrivener. How many instants do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 instants, 7 scry cards. Yeah, Imperial Armor. Slap that on somebody. Kill him real quick. This deck's good. I've yet to do blue-white, so I'm definitely interested. Let's not forget the Secluded Step first and foremost. Then we're more blue than white. So really, I guess we have 8 scry effects. I don't want to do that. I need double white. So this would be 9/8, I guess. But I've got a 2-drop. I'm going to do 9/8. I am going to do 9/8. I need the double white early. I need the double blue early too. We're actually a little bit more color intensive than I first realized. But I'm hoping with all this scry, I should be okay. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what kind of number to put on this, but I am pretty happy with the build. It's the strategy I've had success with in this format. Just ride an Ophidian with just super ridiculous amounts of removal and tempo cards, and then once you've gained enough card advantage and your opponent's at like 2 cards in hand and you're at like 7, and you just slay with one of your kill cons. Yeah, I think it's a solid build, and I'll see you around 1.